Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everybody. However you happen to be watching and or listening to this, I want to welcome you to a special episode of the Gaming Circle podcast. The podcast where this week you can tell we don't have a named or a numbered episode, and my co-host isn't with me because of course we'll get into why that is. But we do have a bunch of special guests, and it is because of a very special reason. If you've seen the thumbnail, it's because we've done this before, and we figured, you know what? It's been a year and some change. I think a year and a week. So we might as well reconvene the council, if you will, and talk about our experiences that has been the year of our Lord with the Steam Deck. But first and foremost, let me introduce my guests. And none of these are really guests. They've been on our show many times. So, you know, we're just happy to have them back. First and foremost, I will welcome the gentleman who actually put this idea, the bug in my ear, the idea of getting together and reconvening and having this conversation. You've seen him on many shows, both on Double Barrel Gaming's channel and my own, as well as his own channel. He's been in and out of the gaming community these days because he's sorting out some things, but he's always here to have a great conversation about gaming. Mr. John Wolf joins us. Good evening, sir. How are you doing?
Good evening, Kay. I hope everyone's doing well. Yeah, you know, after I saw on the news and that the Steam Deck turned 1 year old, the first thought that came to my mind was we got to get back together and talk about this thing, man, because this device, it's been a heck of a year with this device. And as you remember, I was one of the earliest members of the community that had my hands on with it. I sold it off. You convinced me to give it another try, and ever since I did, I haven't looked back, man. And
he's turned into PCMR. This guy.
These days, yes. It's been a little bit of that.
Absolutely. No, I'm happy to have you here, and we're really going to get into it. You've actually gone hard on other handhelds, which we'll get into as well. But let us introduce our other guests. It's unfortunate that our co-host isn't here, and he always seems to duck out the back door every time this man shows up. And I think it's because he rivals in slander. The man, the podcaster from DPS Podcast, where him and his other dynamic duo get on a great show every week. And he always blesses us in our chat, keeping people on their toes. Mr. Slow-Mo Backslap, how are you doing this evening, sir?
I'm doing great, man. And look, I had talked to Everborn before this, and he had told me that there'll be no way that he could do this podcast, and while also hiding in Jim Ryan's closet, because then Jim Ryan would hear him. and then like it would just kind of blow his whole espionage thing he got going
Sure,
on to find
sure.
out what the real is
Uh-huh.
going on with the APK deal. So I understand why he's not here, although I don't agree with his methods. I do understand, but no, like
Yes.
I'm back once again. Like I think I might actually have a very different take on the Steam
Yeah, yeah,
Deck.
yeah. And that's what we're here for, baby. That's what we're here
Yeah,
for.
yeah. I mean,
Absolutely.
definitely compared to what my feelings were of it. But I last time we did this, but I think if you compare the last stream to what I'm going to say in this stream, it will make a lot of sense.
Oh, great. We're here for all the varying opinions, both good and bad and indifferent, and that's exactly what we're here for. So we appreciate you being here, sir. And of course, last but not least, he is also the man you hear all over these various gaming streets. And especially if you're looking for some real talk on some racing games, this is your man by far. But unbeknownst to most, he's also quite the technologist. Every time I hear him speak on the topic, I'm always refreshingly I'm enjoying everything he has to say. He is very knowledgeable, and he always ends up gracing us with his presence, and we appreciate it. All cool and calm, even when he's ranting. Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere, how you doing this evening, sir?
Doing good. Glad to be here with you guys. Man, Steam Deck is it's been a nice surprise as far as from last year, and man, got so many things to say about it. And 1 year later, let's get into it.
Okay. So you know what? This will be an abridged version of the show for those who happen to catch this later. We'll throw this in the feed later. That's why we didn't do it live. But of course, this is our show, and we always get through. We talk about the games we've been playing. So I'll put a little twist on it this time around. I will ask, starting from my, I'm at the top of the scale, so going lower. I will ask Mr. John Wolf first. What is the last game you have played on the Steam Deck, sir?
I'm actually playing it right now.
Okay.
Playing Doom. I'm actually playing Doom Eternal as we speak right now. But beforehand, this past week, I went back to a game that I never beat, and when we go into one of the reasons that I love this thing and have grown to love it so much is because I literally call this the backlog killer. Okay, and I went back to the original Watch Dogs. That's
Nice.
a game
Okay.
that I never completed. I was always in the middle with it, especially after that whole Ubisoft debacle that they started having, these show of dreams showing off these tech demos, and then they would release their game and it was nowhere near there.
Yeah.
But some time has passed, and I must say that going back to a game like that has been quite refreshing, and I've been enjoying myself with it, man. That's pretty much what I've been playing lately on the Steam Deck.
Excellent. I too have used it as a backlog killer. For me, it's more like a reliver of olden days and nostalgia, if you will. Like, you'll see me playing games like, actually, the most recent one, and I should have put footage on the screen right now. You're watching Hogwarts, but I've been playing Remember Me. I don't know if you guys remember that game. Remember Me.
Professor Weasley is broken.
Yeah, you see that? I caught her doing the bump. And she couldn't leave. Eventually, I think I signed out and signed back in.
How'd you end up getting the Switch version so early?
See, look, and when you leave, it kills the story. But she's just stuck there, just doing the bump. She can't get out. But eventually, I sorted her out. I literally had to push her in order to get her out. Yeah, look at this. Yeah, one of the only bugs I will say I've caught in the game. By and large, it runs pretty smooth.
There's quite a few in that game. I ran into one in particular where you can't complete a quest if you some of the quests are in areas that you can explore on your own.
Yeah.
I guess I was doing too much exploring and enjoying the game too much. I had opened a cage that had some them animals in it. You can only open that cage once in your playthrough though.
Oh wow.
So when I did the quest where you had to open that cage with the girl that what's it, Poppy or whatever her name is, that loves the animals.
Loves animals, yeah.
I was doing her side quest. I couldn't open the actual cage because it was already it was technically already open and the animals weren't there. So I couldn't complete the quest. They have apparently fixed that in a patch over the past week, but
yeah, I've experienced very minimal bugs with it. This was one of the most notable ones, but so far I've been pretty lucky, and I've been really playing. I think I'm 50, 60 hours in at this point. I'm really playing that game. I'm trying to get rid of it before like games like, you know, other huge games come in and make the backlog
I beat
even
it
worse.
twice. I
You
beat it
beaten
with
it
a
twice.
Slytherin,
Wow.
and I beat it with a Ravenclaw. 30 hours each for both. And
Damn.
yeah, but my Slytherin, you know, I was doing dark arts everything. Actually, I might do a video where I'm just like, what's the big deal with the dark arts? Honestly,
bro, I'll be honest with you.
Some of these
I'm
finishers,
Gryffindor, and I'm totally dark arts all the way. I have every single dark art spell, and I'm just using
mean,
them at all times.
Okay,
I mean,
some
at
of
the end
these
of the day,
finishers-
aren't you killing people either way? So
Yes.
does it really
Yeah.
matter if it's dark or not?
Yo, what's worse? That I gave you a mercy by doing avocadabra on you and you died instantly, or I pick you up in the air and I slam you 3 times into
And
the
then you
ground.
die and then crack your neck.
I'm playing Doom
Later
Eternal
sounds
right
like
now.
torture.
That sounds to
Right.
me like, listen, I'm not gonna kill the demons with my shotgun. I'll kill them with the chainsaw. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
It's the
It's
same
like
thing. They're still gonna
it's the
die.
same thing. There's another finisher where you make people just explode.
Bro,
And
my
it's just
favorite
like-
my favorite one right now is to turn you into an inanimate object and throw you against something. Like I just turn people
Yeah.
into like what do you call it? Wooden buckets.
Yeah, the
things.
transformation
just-
spell, and
and
it's
just-
explosive,
Ex-
and
yeah.
then you throw it in and kill his partner. You kill 2 people at once. But
No.
but the dark art stuff is wrong.
Oh, that's wrong.
You guys,
What's the difference between Crucio and me
Uh-huh.
setting you on fire?
And setting you on
I'm
fire.
gonna need you guys to give me a little crash course later on in another episode here, because Kay, I'm having I don't know about that game, man. I mean, I see the people flying around with broomsticks and stuff, and I'm like,
I'll
I
be
don't know
honest with
about
you.
this, man.
I'll be
I
honest
love
with
combat.
you. It is really good. It is Arkham Combat in a Wizarding World skin. Like and you know, I know people have a hard time with Harry Potter and all of that, and I can understand that. The YA stuff isn't for everybody. But take that out of it, it's actually pretty darn fun. They fill the levels full of stuff from day one. If you know what you're doing, or if you have any kind of inkling as to how that world works, there are secrets around every corner. It's just generally a really fun game that you can get lost in for a long time.
I'll pick it up when it's on sale, man. Everybody's
Yeah.
been raving about it, so.
It's damn good, man. It's really, really, really good. Now, Fuzzy Belvedere, what games have been keeping you busy? What Steam Deck games have been keeping you busy?
Most recently was Undisputed. Now, the only
Ah.
reason why I stopped playing it on the Steam Deck is hopping between my PC and my Steam Deck. Somehow I can't get the settings separate. So it's like I'll have it where the settings were making it a little jittery on the Steam Deck, turn it down, runs perfect. Then go back to playing it on the gaming rig, and then it's like, oh wait, why does everybody look like they've been
I've
rolling
noticed some of that too. It depends on
or
the
something?
game.
So
Some of the
yeah,
games
I
just
gotta
don't
figure
have
out how to
a good
separate it.
profile separation. It's not you. It's the game. Some games are able to do it easily. Other games you turn like I'm running a 4K 60 on my PC. The minute I go on Steam Deck, I'm like running at like half a frame per second because it's still running at 4K whether I want it to or not. I have noticed that myself. Okay, but how's Undisputed as a game in general?
From launch, it was pretty good offline. Like against boxers, this is what a lot of people have been looking for as far as like a return to fight night type of deal. Now, online's a little bit of a different story. They didn't have certain things in place to kind of stop the spamming, I guess you could say. So people were spamming hooks, and some people got upset, and then they did a complete 180 and put in something called arm fatigue, which works great for the hooks, but they also did it for jabs, which if you're a fan of the art of boxing, jabs are like your primary thing, and throwing only 3, and then the third one's like you're like a 90-year-old trying to throw a baseball deal.
So what you're
man.
saying is they
It
added like
That's not professional boxing.
what do you call it? From soft like stamina meters to boxing.
Yeah. So
Is that boxing or that slap fighting I've been seeing around?
It's like boxing for senior citizens. apparently.
pretty much. So they've definitely nerfed the jab. Like I keep on going on their forum or discussions and be like, hey, can you up it to 5? I mean, like that's a norm. Or even when you do switching between hands, because they don't want you to throw 3 of the same from the same hand or something. And it's like still like there's so many boxers that use the jab to kind of like play keep away or set people up so they can do a hook. or set them up so they can do a cross, and they kind of killed that. Now,
why don't they have an actual?
Happy.
Hey Fuzzy, why don't they have an actual physical, like visual stamina meter where it's like certain kinds of shots will lower that meter, but you can see
Didn't
it go
OG
down.
Fight Night have that too? Like Fight Night.
Well,
if I
they
recall, had
have that
something
stamina
like that, right?
meter. The only drawback was it only seemed to work on the player side, not the AI side. So there were still some things about it where it still didn't quite fit right. Like I kind of get where they were going as far as the direction, but overall, prior to that arm fatigue thing, it was everything that a Fight Night fan would want in a modern day boxing game. I mean, minus some of the big names. I mean, there's some big names in there, but like more recent big names and things like that, or some of the historic big names in boxing from middleweight to heavyweight and stuff were missing. But it's still fun, even on the Steam Deck. Prefer playing it on big screen with the controller and stuff because I have it set for my LG monitor and stuff. But
running 60 frames
on the Steam Deck, it works a lot better than what I was expecting out of the
60
box.
frames on the deck?
No, it's 30, but it's smooth enough where you could do the 60. It's just that when you change the settings to have it where you can run it at 60, you'll get like most of the fight works great, but then when you're doing like a back and forth exchange, then it'll start to drop frames to the point where it's like it's a little too jittery. Mainly if you're online. Offline works fine still, but I do the 30 frames just because I want to see the swelling of the eye. I want to see the cuts. I want to see the sweat and the blood splatter and all that stuff. And the 30 seems to hold it up better as far as the better boxer detail and stuff.
I agree, and Fuzz, I'm glad you brought that up because that's something I think is important for the listeners to know. Look, 60 is ideal, right? Always, but on the screen, on the sides of the screen, 30. I don't know about you guys, but I've run some games at 30, and it runs smooth, man. It really does.
No, I agree. I do agree. I will say though, like for my use case of the deck, if you're able to hit 40, that's my ideal. I don't even play 60 because 60 kills battery. If I'm able to play it at 40, it's smooth as butter, and it still gives me good battery life, and I can play for extended periods of time. So to me, it's that small difference. That 40, if I can lock the screen down to 40 refresh, and it's still working, and I'm still able to get that straight line, no jitter. That's exactly where I want to be. So I do hear you on that. That's usually my barometer, whether I should play it on the deck or not. Can I hit 40? If I can hit 40 is good. If I can't hit 40, maybe this is more PC than it is deck, that kind of thing. But okay, slow-mo backslap, sir.
Yo.
I know you may not be playing the deck as much as you used to. I don't know. What have you been playing recently on the deck?
The last time I played a game on my Steam Deck, it was probably about 2 months ago, and I played Persona 5 Royal. So, and that was through xCloud. So I was doing the whole, the jury rig through, the browser, getting xCloud running, and it was fine. Of course, it's a turn-based RPG, so you don't need to have like a precise quick twitch movement and execution of moves happening, but it was fine. The thing is that for me and the kind of gamer that I am, I kind of like alluded to this last time we did this, was like I work from home. I very rarely leave the house. The last time we did this, I did take the Steam Deck with me when I went on vacation. And I was away from home for a week, and it was great for that. But the problem is that like I don't really do that often. I would love to go on vacation like once a month, but I don't, right? I'm not rich. So I'm a PC gamer primarily, and a lot of the gaming I do is just on PC. Like I barely play on the Xbox I have. I barely play on my PS5. So with the Steam Deck, it's like the only time I have it
play on.
Right. And so I'm also like, even when I had a Switch, back in the day, I do have another Switch now. Shout out to the wife who on my birthday decided, oh, he has everything. He doesn't have a Switch. I'll get him a Switch without actually asking me I want a Switch.
That is nice.
But,
there you go.
That's nice, brother.
Now, did she fish your Switch out of Lake Minnetonka?
No, she went and got a Switch OLED, which was like, why'd you spend all this money on this? But no, I kept it because it's a gift and everything. But
Yeah,
like,
good.
for me, it's like I don't really play games in handheld mode ever. The screen size, I can't really like the kind of games that I love to play. I'm a big multiplayer guy. I play
that's
Rogue
not
Company.
good for that. That's not good for that, for sure.
Fortnite, Halo Infinite, Call of Duty, like the Division. Like these games aren't conducive for that. Actually, I did try the Division 2. That's the last when Ubisoft announced that the Division was now Steam Deck compatible. I tried it on my Steam Deck, and it was playable.
Serviceable.
It was playable. It was like you could play it.
Yeah.
Would you enjoy it? Not really.
Well,
like,
but you're also comparing it to what kind of card do you have on your PC?
I have a 3080 Ti. I found.
There you go. You know, he's got the big
but
dog.
It's just the late. Like even if I was playing on the Xbox, or
he threw that Founders Edition in there too. You heard that, right?
You know, he had to.
I just had let people know exactly which one it was. No,
exactly.
It was a little bit of latency in like say like the cover movement in the Division and shooting, and it just didn't feel good. And so for me, it's like if I'm when I do play it. And I do kind of play my Switch a little bit too, just to compare like the emulated games between them. Like I'm playing Fire Emblem Engage right now. And I played it on both. I did start it up on the Steam Deck too. Steam Deck definitely plays it better, right? But like for me, it's at this point. Even when I play my Steam Deck, it's in handheld mode, like the not the official one that Valve came out with, but the other one that's really good, where yes, I have that one, and which has like a Ethernet connector to it and has everything else all there. I have it connected to my OLED in my basement, and that's where it stays because when I do crank it up, I'm not playing it in handheld because I hate handheld controls too. I don't I need a controller in my hand. So it's just it is what it is, and here's the thing is that I'm not disappointed with my purchase at all because
you know what let's get into that proper, right? So we would talk a little bit about the games we've been playing. Let's talk properly about the deck a year after it's been out. Right, and everybody jumped into it from day one. Well, some of us more than others, right? And let's get your opinion first and foremost, right? Remember how it was, and for those who don't remember, we have it in the feed. Go check it out. He was here. We spoke about it. A year later, what's your use case? Is it one of those things where you go, well, I wish I hadn't bought it. You know, now I have a little bit of regret, or is this one of those I'll use it when I need to? Where does it all fall for you? Go for it.
For me, I don't regret buying it at all. I knew what kind of gamer I was going into it, and I knew that I was going to be an early adopter. Stuff wouldn't work correctly. I knew that I probably wouldn't use it too much because I'm more of a stationary gamer, and even when I'm out and about, I'm way too busy to be gaming that often. So I knew what to expect from it, and I'm fine with that. Like I find that I spent the money I spent on it, and at the time I do play it and do play things on it, I'm more of experimenting, trying things out, seeing how it works, seeing how it runs, and then I end up playing it on my PC, the same game on my PC, because I know it's going to perform the way I want it to perform, regardless.
So to your point, I replayed. So I never finished Returnal when it came on PS5. You know how Returnal started, right? Like buggy, had a bunch of different things. I think I've spoken on the show before where I feel like Returnal got a second pass, and how Smart actually cleaned it up and got the onboarding right. It plays a little different in the beginning now. So when it came out on PC, I found a deal, and I'm like, you know what? I'm going to buy it on PC. But I insisted on playing it on Steam Deck first, because I know that when I go to the 3080, I ain't going backwards.
Right.
But it played remarkably well on the deck. Like in the beginning, it was unsupported, but that's my favorite part, right? It says it's unsupported. I'm like, all right, we'll see about that. An hour and a half later, it's playing like butter on the deck, even though they say it's unsupported, because there's so many other ways to get around and get that to work if you tinker with it a little bit, which I like to do. But no, to your exact point there, Slow-Mo, I do have that thing where unless it's a game that's beyond graphical fidelity, because there are some games, I'm talking like, your Vampire Survivors, things like that, where you're not there for the graphical fidelity. You're there just to keep playing that game, and it's mobile as well as on your stationary device. Otherwise, I'll try the deck first, because if I do it from the main PC to the deck, I go, degraded experience. I might not play it.
Right. I can't do this. My eyes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So all right, let me go to you, Fuzzy Belvedere. You two have had the deck for a while now. You two have come to it from various for a use case in your life. How has your use case been of the year and change that you've had it? Was it a good purchase for you? For me, a bad purchase? Yeah.
No, I'm happy with my purchase because the biggest thing for me, and this is going to sound like a weird case purchase at this point, but I was doing a lot of the like xCloud on my phone, and my eyes, my age, my eyes are getting worse by the minute. Kind of
we
thing.
Ain't what we used to
so
be.
Looking
I feel
at
you, brother.
So looking at that small screen, I wanted something that was portable, that was reasonably priced. And yeah, there are other options, like I could have used a tablet and stuff, but I figured, something that's associated with Steam where I can have like a library of games I'm going to have on my PC anyway, accessible there as well. I thought it was like the best of both worlds. So from an xCloud standpoint, definitely happy compared to the phone that I had. And then as far as like the types of games that I mainly play on that as opposed to my PC, like there's some overlap. Like when I'm out and about, I'll still try BMG Drive or BeamNG Drive on the Steam Deck, which, some settings turned down a little bit. It runs great. And I can, have that not really racing experience, but that, soft body physics and crashing into stuff while I'm at the dealership, while the vehicle oil change is getting done or whatever. Yep. I can have that, or I could do the xCloud stuff, or I can play like smaller games. Like I think it's what is this like Stray or like Hong Kong Fight. It's almost like the Midnight Express thing, but without the trains and stuff like that. But there's a lot of smaller games that I play. Like Hades is another good one for, at least for me, for the Steam Deck. Like, yeah, it looks great playing it on the console, on the big screen, or even on my PC on a monitor screen. But for the most part, those are the types of games I prefer to play in like a handheld more so than on, a bigger screen. Like I can go ahead and take it downstairs while wife is watching something on Netflix and I'm not really into whatever that particular show might be, then I can go ahead and hop on the Steam Deck and play the stuff and still be beside her without having it blasting or distracting her from watching whatever show or movie she's into and stuff. So it definitely expands what I was looking for or fits what I was looking for as far as gaming. But yeah, there are certain titles that will overlap, but I got to figure out how to keep the profile separate for like Undisputed. It's one of them. BMG Drive seems to do just fine with the separate profiles and stuff like that. I think I played like remote play with doing Grand Theft Auto 5, which works well, but it looks so much better on the PC. But it was just one of those things I kind of wanted to try out, and I keep on postponing it because I haven't fully hooked up a keyboard to the hub, doing like the remote play stuff, which I really want to try doing remote play as far as my PlayStation library as well as my Xbox library. But that can come at a later time. Like I'm hoping at some point both of these companies, start to work with Steam to have like an app that's already ready made where I don't have to go back in. Key in some coding on the keyboard like that,
and
right? Stuff like that. Like
we did hear them say something like that a while ago. Absolutely. When they released that first browser plugin thing that they were doing, they would like take this while we work on an actual app. That was the initial kind of foray into it, but it seems that we haven't really heard too much about that from the Xbox side. But okay, I hear you. Believe it or not, one of my favorite games to play on the deck these days, Burnout, the Burnout series. I love playing that on the deck because it's just so much fun. Like Takedown is great on the deck, and I get to choose between am I playing the PS2 version? Am I playing the Xbox version? And they all have their different nuances and stuff. I really enjoy playing those old school games that I recall from back in the day. The thing that you just want a quick fix of sometimes seems to play really well on the little handheld, just because battery life and all those things are concerned. But no, I hear you on that, brother. I hear you. Let me get your thoughts there, Mr. John Wolf. I know that you started on this journey a little bit backwards, right? You bought it, you sold it, you bought it again. You ended up buying a razor blade. Also, you got all handheld in. How you feeling a year later with your Steam Deck?
I'm loving it, man. And the thing is that the type of gamer that I am, I think that it fits. I found myself I like to change it up a bit every now and then, right? It's like, since I'm kind of like slow-mo where I work from home, so my work desk is where I have my PC set up. I also have a Series S here and a PS3 and an Xbox 360 at this station. So after a long days of work, I kind of don't want to sit here always again. So the nice thing about the Steam Deck is that I can pick it up, go to the sofa, go to the other room, whatever, just disconnect with it, play during lunchtime. And that's kind of like my use case scenario for it that I've seen lately that I've been using it for. The thing is that this product, I think I am a perfect candidate for what Valve intended, and that's that they got me into their ecosystem. Before the Steam Deck, I was not interested at all in PC gaming. Not one bit. I was always been a console gamer. Never wanted to try out PC. Sounded, I
Isn't that why you sold the first deck? Because it didn't have achievements that you recognize?
Yep, achievements. The friends list was at 0. My game library was pitiful. I was like, dude, this is like starting all over again, man. I'm not digging this at all. I wasn't feeling it, right? Yeah. But the thing is that I'm glad that I listened to you when we had a conversation one day that it's like, man, when you start tweaking and you start looking at all these things, it's so satisfying. And I listened to you, and I'm glad I did, because it just so happens that I purchased a PC for the content creation stuff. Pretty beefy card on it, 3070. I started liking the tweaking of the games. I started liking having control of the resolution that I was going to play at. If I wanted more frames, I can cut corners here and there. So I started understanding.
This is going to turn into a PCMR conversation, isn't it? I can just tell.
I still primarily, you'll find me.
Let them cook, man. Let them cook.
You'll find me probably, more than half of my time still either on my Series X or my S. But I have really been enjoying the gaming on the PC. So this generation with this device, I have to give it to Valve. What they've done here is create the ultimate 1-2 combo for any gamer. If you have a PC and a Steam Deck, that's all you need, to be honest with you. All right, and that's coming from someone that is fortunate enough, thank God, that I own all the consoles. I have handhelds. I have the Razer Edge that came out recently, so I'm very blessed in that way. So I'm very fortunate that I'm able to say, hey, you know what? I don't want to game on my PC today. Let me go to my Series S. Let me go to the Series X, PS5, et cetera, et cetera. I'm able to do that, but circling back to this device, I'm into the Steam ecosystem now. I had a Steam account for years, brother, for like 13, 14, 15 years, but I had like 2 games on there. I had Half-Life, which I used to run on an OPC. I tried it a couple of times because my cousin convinced me, hey, come and play with us multiplayer. And I'm like, okay, jump on Xbox. They're like, no, we're not going to play on Xbox. We're going to play on PC. I'm like, oh, okay, let me figure out how I can play with you guys, whatever. And we're talking about 10 years ago or more. So I'm up to now, a year later, I'm up to over 150 games in my library, okay? And going back to, and I love comparing games, bro. That's something I really enjoy, because I like tech. So I like seeing how a game plays on the Razer Edge, streaming from the PC through Moonlight. Then I like to see how it looks on the Steam Deck and play it there, and I'll play it there for a couple of evenings. So I like the change of pace. I feel like if it's refreshing. Plus, it's also dependent on the use case, right? There's sometimes that I will have to use a portable device for various reasons, so I prefer that. But the device got me into Steam's ecosystem. So Gabe, you won me over. You got my money going forward.
He got one.
You got one. You
So
got
okay.
one. You know.
So let me tell y'all real quick, and I really appreciate like all the various use cases you bring to it and why you either it is part of your life or it becomes less part of your life. I, like most of you, work from home, right? That's going to change soon. I'm going to be getting into office twice a week, which I'm fine with that. You know, breaks up the day. But like the thing that I love the most, like you, John Wolf, this is my command center. I think y'all saw a picture of it. I put a picture on Twitter. I've been trying to clean this thing up. You know, this is where I work and this is where I have my PC. So when I'm done working, I kind of don't want to be in here all day, right?
Yep.
Except for the days that I'm podcasting as well or whatever. But, you know, I still want to be able to get my gaming on, but I have little ones, right? And I don't know how various ages your children are, but I'm at the point where as soon as I'm done or they think I'm done, they're rushing in to see dad. And dad can't be, you know, like busy playing a game, or if I am busy playing a game, it can't be something that they can watch because they are impressionable at this point. I can't be playing stuff where they're ripping people's heads off and whatnot and shooting everybody, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so for that use case, for that reason, the Steam Deck tends to be my partner wherever I am, right? Like, so I'm hanging out with my kids, they're playing something, they're doodling, they're watching a show or whatever, and I have to be playing, you know, Doom Eternal from the deck, right? Either it be native or it's via xCloud or via any other kind of remote connection service. I've been able to successfully get the Xbox One working on here. And of course, while I'm doing this, I'll also like drop a few things that people who are interested should check out. An application called Greenlight. It's literally Moonlight, but for Xbox, and it runs on the Steam Deck. A great Linux developer made it free of charge. You install it, you add your account, and now you're literally like connecting into your Xbox as if it was like made natively for it, and it plays great. And also, not only does it play great off of remote play, it gives you the full xCloud library. And the interesting thing about that is, every time you connect xCloud to xCloud, it checks your device. What are you connecting to xCloud with? And it calibrates it accordingly, right? But
Nice.
since Greenlight is not an officially supported thing, it doesn't know what to calibrate, so it gives you the full connection, and you decide how you want it to play. So it ends up making even the online, via cloud gaming one, runs like butter with zero latency because they don't calibrate it for you. They don't go, oh, you're on a browser, so we're just going to give you the 720p stream. They'll give you whatever your system can handle, and it's really. I find I'm like you said, John Wolf. It's like a backlog killer, right? I'm on here. I spent one day between the Steam Deck and my PC. I played Returnal and beat it in one day, 9 hours.
There you go. Yep.
Right, and now I didn't hit the end because I know there's more than one ending, but I hit that first ending and I was like, yep, I'm done. And if anybody's played Returnal before, you know that once you get to the harder levels, like latency is a huge factor in the equation. Like you're jumping, you're dodging, you're moving. You can't afford it to slow down on you at any moment because them bosses are relentless, right? And the Steam Deck was keeping up. It was pretty good, and it's a newer game with really awesome particle effects and stuff, right? And on PC, you have the ray tracing and all that. It's paired back on the Steam Deck, of course, but it hit that 40 frames per second that I want and stayed there, right? So I've found it's been a pretty interesting use case for me, you know. So I appreciate that everyone is bringing their use cases and their life experiences to it. I'm actually looking forward to going to the office because of this. Because then during lunchtime, maybe I can sit down in the corner and make use of the deck. You know, it's a beautiful thing. So no, I think it's really cool. I like what it has done to gaming in general, because even if you're not a handheld gamer, you know, your favorite device or your favorite company or your favorite platform is now looking to potentially fulfill a need that they didn't think they needed to fulfill before. It kind of opened the door to, hey, this handheld stuff can actually be a serious gaming device, and it's not like how it used to be where it, you know, switched. I'm sorry. Forgive the slam.
I have a question for you.
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you think that they'll ever find a way to not necessarily sideload, but within Steam OS, have things like the Windows Store properly, like Microsoft's Xbox app properly integrated,
So yeah.
Epic Game Store, GOG.
So here's
Like,
the thing, and that's another reason why I like the deck as much as I do. And I'll answer your question properly, but the reason why I like the deck so much is, as of right now, and yes, it's a tinkerer's device. It's a tinkering kind of situation. I have an SD card, a 1 terabyte SD card I bought on Black Friday. It's one of the higher level SD cards. I think it's V30 or whatever. And I have installed Windows 11 on the SD card. Now, anybody that's ever reinstalled Windows on their laptop knows how to do this. You plug it into your PC, you create a USB stick, right? And you shove it in there. The difference is, this is like, unlike installing the binaries onto your SD card and then using it to install it somewhere else, there's a specific utility you can download called Rufus. It's open source. And instead, you just check a box that says Windows to go. And it actually treats the SD card as the destination and not the source. So it installs all of Windows on the SD card. So now I pop the SD card in, I hit the volume up and I think volume down and start, boots into the SD card, and I'm in Windows, baby. Full-fledged Windows. I have GR.
No compromises.
No compromises. I have all of the various stores there. And even because I don't like Steam Deck as a UI when it's outside in Windows, in Steam Deck OS, it's perfect. It's great. But when you're outside and you're using other tools, like you want to use, I don't know, itch.io, or you want to use like Epic Game Store or any of these other places, it makes it a little cumbersome to bring everything into Steam. So instead, there's a new front end that I've downloaded called a Play Night. And I think I did a short on it. Like I tried a YouTube short, I did it on that. And it shows you a front end that scans your hard drive every time you turn it on and finds all the games and all the various app stores that you have downloaded, puts it in a really cool front end that you can manipulate and do whatever you want, make it big logos, icons, whatever the heck you feel like doing. And anytime you hit play, it opens up the app store in the background, whichever platform it's running on, puts the game on the screen. You know, it even has all of the Steam functionality you want, meaning the cool information readout, just like SteamOS does. You can calibrate your fan now. You can lock the screen. All the stuff that SteamOS can do natively, you can now do on Windows side. Except you're not locked to SteamOS anymore. You're not locked to the Steam store anymore. So like for me, who Twitch gaming has been giving away free games for years. Now I have all that Twitch gaming stuff at my disposal on the Steam Deck, including Epic Game Store and all these other things. But to your point, Slow-Mo, that is a tinkerer's device, and you have to go in there, you have to load that operating system, you have to plug in that keyboard and, you know, install and tweak and install. And I enjoy that stuff. They have not done that to make it turnkey for the average user who just wants to have that console-like experience, but with Windows, right?
Right.
There are talks that these things they're in the works and may very well come down the pipe, right? If you're willing to spend a little bit more dough than you are on the deck, you can get the what do you call it, the Aya Neo devices. They come built in with Windows from jump, and they also have a very cool Windows-like UI, so you can install all those things. But you're talking about at least $1,000 you're spending versus the $500 you spend on the deck, right? So those are actually full-fledged PCs with killer graphics cards that are in them in comparison to the deck. So I hear you on that, but I will say if you really want that no compromise experience and you're willing to spend, like, you want to be a weekend warrior, you're willing to spend a Saturday afternoon, you can get it running Windows running on your deck. And it's like,
I mean, I've always known I could. I just kind of like when I look at like mass adoption, and if they want this to become a thing that's going to
that's definitely not
explode,
for that.
Yeah,
absolutely.
They need to get that done. It's almost it's. I know I've been messy on the timeline already because like there was a whole tweet about like what's your most controversial gaming opinion, and I said Bethesda RPGs have always been overrated,
Ooh.
which has gotten the ire of some people. But if you think about like Bethesda, right? Even though their games have been kind of mass adopted, but Bethesda kind of has relied in some ways on the modders fixing certain things
100%.
when they release their games.
And
it's like I can almost kind of see it with Valve, where it's like Valve's like, hey, we released this product, it's awesome. If you want the things that you expect from other hardware manufacturers, as far as like quality of life improvements, and adapting things and making the OS better over time. Well, you know what? There's a whole bunch of people that's doing all that stuff that we should be doing right now.
So I will push back on you just a little bit on that, because while people are doing some interesting things, and we'll definitely talk about that, I will say I am impressed at what Valve is doing with the deck, because the deck that we got day one,
they're doing a tons of updates
now is like, and features they've added is like astronomical. Like I didn't even know you could lock it to 40 frames per second on the screen. That wasn't available in the beginning. It just kind of they just kind of dropped that later down the line, and people were like, well, why do we need this? And now that is the way. That's go. You don't even go 60 frames. You go 40. Because 40 gives you the 60 feel without the overhead and the resources and all of that, so your battery lasts longer. Like they've been doing lots of very interesting things there. But yeah, to your point, if you are a person that wants to be turnkey, you want to be, I call it the Honda Civic driver. You just want to come sit down and do your thing,
And that was one of my key complaints last time that we had a conversation. Coming from the console side, I that's why I didn't like it when I first got it. Okay,
too much tinkering.
That was my view on it. What I've been programmed. Okay, 40 going on 40 years old now. What I've been programmed throughout my gaming life is turn on the system, play the game. Wait a minute. Why are you asking me what resolution I want here? I don't know. Whatever resolution, I don't care.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
I just want to play the game. That's it.
I just want to play the game. So that's the thing. It's if you're open to learning and you're open to that tweaking, then that's when it's going to become more enjoyable. And then you start kind of understanding. Oh, wait a minute. This is asking me to log on to this launcher, because on PC, Rockstar has a launcher. Now this is starting to make sense to me. Ubisoft has a launcher. Okay, now all this stuff starts coming together.
I mean,
yeah, no, absolutely. I think
garbage.
I think the worst launcher is EA. EA has the absolute worst launcher.
They had a terrible launcher, and then they replaced it with another terrible launcher. I'm like, get out of here.
It's even worse than Origin. I'm like, can I have Origin back, please?
I want Origin back, please. Yes, please.
It's like, I'm sorry for complaining. Please.
When the puzzle finally
comes... me with another bad launcher. Go ahead, my bad.
But no, you're good, man. But when the puzzle finally comes together, that's when this thing opens up, and that's when you really appreciate that what I'm talking about. Like again, I can advocate this device. Anyone with a PC, this is the ultimate 1-2 combo to accompany your Steam library. I mean, it's a no-brainer at this point. Now, for them to get to that next level, right, where you're gonna have not your techie people, not your a curious gamer, but your everyday gamer, where they need to do is exactly what Slow-Mo is saying. They need to really figure out a way where everything works with launchers and stuff like that. Seamless, so that it's working in the background, but it's not like the person doesn't have to figure out the workaround.
So to that point, and I actually wanted to bring that up as well, and Fuzzy will get you in on this conversation as well. I was looking around to say, hey, it's been a year and change. Now it tends to be the time when folks start talking about the next iteration. And we, as recently as a couple weeks ago, the 13th, today even, one of the designers of the Steam Deck came out and basically said that a true, and there's a quote, a true next-gen deck with a significant bump in horsepower wouldn't be for a few years. And I really appreciate that. I really do.
That's good. That's good.
I do, right? Because I don't want this to be like a phone where every year a new version comes out and makes you feel like you need to go upgrade, right? And say what you will about NVIDIA, their Shield product has been the gold standard in that. Still, every couple of weeks or every couple of months, you get a new update that provides you features and functionality and fixes for that device that was released 2 years before the Switch was, and it uses the same hardware, right? And we're already talking about the Switch getting long in the tooth, and they're still supporting it with updates and treating it as if it's a primary product today. And it looks like Valve is heading that direction. They're adding more hardware to it, adding more features to it. I really appreciate that they're not ready to throw it away. I did hear that, they're talking about maybe adding more batteries, so there may be an iterative version, or they may switch to an OLED or something like that. Those things may be in the works, but the core of it, the hardware, the CPU, the RAM, the GPU, stays the same for a few more years.
Yeah. That makes sense, because if the Switch OLED proved anything, at least to me, from my user case perspective, is that it did boost those graphics just a little bit, and it's just colors. That's all it's doing. All it's doing is just
the deep
really
It's a better screen.
Yeah.
The better screen does a lot. Yeah.
Exactly. But the same thing with the Razer Edge that I have, when I'm streaming from my PC through Moonlight, those colors, man, that OLED pops, and it's a near seamless experience. Sometimes, and I have to say it, I prefer playing on the Razer Edge streaming than I do even from the Steam Deck. You got to catch me on a certain day.
I wouldn't be surprised though, because that Razer Edge is really light in your hand. It doesn't have a fan that's spinning like crazy. You know what I mean? Like the deck is, for a handheld, it's a big boy, right? And you're
plus the battery
the Razer
life.
Edge,
because it's Razer, I gotta give it some slander.
Well, it deserves the slander.
It deserves
No. See, deck
it hasn't.
slow.
Go ahead.
Slow. You deserve every right. Okay. You own the device. Speak on why they pulled the fast one. Go ahead, real quick.
Yeah. So in typical, you're not wrong, Slow-mo. In typical Razer fashion, they sloppy. Okay, very sloppy in their launch. They originally said that the device was going to have 8 gigabytes of what was the
of RAM.
Of RAM, that's right.
Okay.
8 gigs of RAM.
8 gigabytes, whether it's the Wi-Fi model or the one with the SIM card, right?
Yeah.
Well, guess what they did? They tried to pull a fast one, and overnight they said, "Oh, our bad. The Wi-Fi only has 6 gigabytes of RAM."
What?
After
we
people
forgot
had
to
already
mention that.
pre-ordered it, people are getting it in their
Typical
hands.
Razer.
So
Oh
what
my-
they did was they quietly changed it on the website, but didn't announce it. They quietly changed it on the
That is
website.
shady.
So content creators get it in their hands. They're loving it. They're playing it. But hey, this got 6 gigs of RAM. Let's check the website. Were we wrong? And then you check the website. Oh, it says 6 gigs. Did we mistaken that? Yes, somebody had to go in the Wayback Machine to see that they switched it from the old to the
And
new.
they tried to be
They had
They
to
tried to
pull
be
a fast
crazy.
one.
Every
let me
Razer
tell you what
product
they
I've had has been absolute disappointment.
Oh,
Every
Lord.
single one.
Well,
Yeah.
and
Go ahead,
I'll
John.
tell you what they did to try to make up for it. They gave everyone, I guess, that pre-ordered it, a $25 gift card to their store. So I
Give
mean,
us more money.
Yeah. I mean, I ended up buying a mouse for work, whatever. I need a new one, anyways. But still, you know what I'm saying? It was still kind of like shady. And for the use case that I was gonna use, I knew that it wasn't gonna be it wasn't gonna be a big hit, right? And so I still took it. Okay, that's fine. I still purchased it, and I don't regret it. I'm very happy with the purchase. And again, for my use case, which is primarily just streaming, either playing Diablo Immortal or streaming from my PC, it's been very, very excellent. And if there is a welcome update that I would like on the Steam Deck, it's that screen, man. That screen, it lacks in comparison to the Razer Edge. And remember, I also had the Logitech G Cloud. It fails in comparison to those two devices.
Okay. So, see, I will tell you, while I agree with you, I will tell you that, and you guys have heard me talk about it before, what I do to offset that, what I do to not necessarily have to deal with that, is the Nreal Air, the augmented reality glasses. They are inky black OLED, like really, 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 really like OLED-like, but they're huge on your screen, right? So you put the glasses on, and there you go, right? So that to me has kind of made me feel like I can wait until they give me a real horsepower bump, because all I got to do is just plug this thing in, and it actually produces a bigger screen at less power because it's not driving the actual screen of the deck. So it turns the screen of the deck off, less power, but it still gives you really big, like a screen that's OLED-like.
I'm flying to South Korea in May. I'm gonna have to look these up. for that
Brother,
long flight.
you need to do that. Like I put that on. I put like noise canceling headphones on. Flights disappear. I don't know where I am. All I know is I'm in whatever game I'm playing, and I can do it for hours on end. Like that's a reason why I love the use case of this device so much, because it has faults, but there's always a solution to the fault, and they let you implement that solution. It's not like a Switch where you have to go jailbreak it or something, right? You can just go ahead and use it as you want. Like a quick example of that is my Nreal Air. The good thing about it is it has no batteries, right? So you plug it into the source of the device you're using it, whether it be your phone or the Steam Deck, right? But of course, the Steam Deck has limited battery itself, and you can't charge it while you're using it. But of course, it being a PC, you figure it out yourself. And I found a specific kind of switcher that will let you both plug in a power source and still use the
we gotta talk for that flight,
right?
We gotta talk for that long
so
flight.
I'm like
I got
hours
in,
and hours of gameplay, just like with this thing on, and like a flight attendant will show up and go, "What is that on you?" Because you look like you look like a cyborg. You got like little screens on your face, but it's great. It's absolutely great. Let me bring you in. Let me bring you in on this conversation, Fuzzy. Like I've heard your use case. Mm-hmm. Are you the type of person that wants like an iterative upgrade? Will you buy another one if they bring you the Steam Deck OLED, or are you waiting for that big bump in horsepower and performance?
I think I would wait until there's more of a bump in horsepower, only because while the OLED would be a great upgrade as far as from a visual standpoint, this is more about convenience than the visuals. Like for me, visuals are more what I shoot for when I'm in front of my big screen TV or the monitor for the computer itself. Mm-hmm. The screen on here is serviceable enough where I don't necessarily, well, then again, I haven't seen an OLED screen. I don't have an OLED switch or anything like that. And I don't have the Logitech item either. So as far as the OLED upgrade would probably change my mind, but I'm
I want it all, Fuzzy. I want it all the time.
No, but I'd be willing to hold off until they do a power up, or power or upgrade or boost or something along those lines. Just for the fact that at that point maybe we can get some of the newer games running at 60 and not chew up the battery as much, but that'd be more of a trade-off depending on how things go with their next iteration type of deal. But screen, this one's good enough for me for now.
So let me ask Fuzzy, and that'll take us into the next conversation that I kind of wanted to have. What do you expect? What do you want? If you had a checklist, if anybody went to you and said, okay, obviously a bump in performance, and that'll come when AMD's ready to bump their performance, right? That'll come with that. But if you had a checklist of the things you wanted, like I've used it for a while now, I know how good or its shortcomings. If you had a checklist of the things that have to be on it, your top 3 things, what do you want on your next Steam Deck?
Now, I haven't opened this thing up myself, but I know that it is possible to change out the SSD.
Yep,
something that might be just a smidge more serviceable or easier without fear of cracking the screen or having to undo like a million screws and stuff to get to it.
I think it's like 9 screws in total. I think so.
Yeah.
I think it's about 9 screws, but it is a little hairy. You get a little bit. Yeah. I get you.
So something along those lines. It's a little bit smoother in that regard. The power upgrade, obviously, and this is going to be a far-fetched one because why would a console maker or a wall garden system or ecosystem want to play nice? I really would like to see. It's not so much Steam or Valve themselves, but see Xbox or PlayStation be like, you know what? Since we're in, at least to what we know now, since there's not a portable or handheld from either one of them in the near future, have it where you can do the remote play. Have it where it's like an already accessible app. From launch.
Yeah.
I know that might be a bit of a stretch. Fuzzy?
I just wish that they put green light in that store. Just put green light in that store. Because if you try it, it's almost like Microsoft blessed it. It's perfect. You just log in with your username, your password, and boom, you can connect to your local machine, remote play, and you have access to all the cloud games. And it's so professionally clean and cut. You can even see the people that are playing games on the side. Like I see Fuzzy Belvedere playing his games, all on the deck in the green light interface. it's quite cool. I'm surprised that it hasn't received enough shine that people see that it's an option. But to your point, that would maybe Microsoft blessing something to that effect to kind of, satiate those who want something a bit more proper rather than going through the harrowing thing that is adding that browser and all of that. I hear
now
you on
the
that.
xCloud browser thing that they gave, like the step by step, that was
Well,
pretty
that
cool.
was
But yeah, they could
yeah,
go.
but that was like performing a science project, dude. I mean, even after a year of training, I've switched out a motherboard already, upgraded graphics card, changed CPU. I mean, I've done stuff for the first year of owning PC that to me I thought I would never do, right?
Yep.
But
Yeah.
even that
That's wrong, Beats.
process still to me, I'm still like, I don't want to go through all those steps, man.
Yeah,
I hear you.
I just think if they had something that was more of a supported setup, I think that would be a huge step. And as much as PlayStation seems like they want to advance with, accessing the PC market, I know they have a partnership with Epic, but this would be like the perfect way to, like, okay, we now have Spider-Man in the store, we now have God of War in the store. Here you could play it direct on your Steam Deck. I mean, they're already supporting it with Steam Deck, but if you already own it, like, I guess from PlayStation standpoint, how many people are going to actually double dip at that point? But for the games that they don't put in there, I just wish that they were more willing, even if it was like, okay, that's part of the PS Plus premium service monthly fee, and that's like an
Deckers, if you
add-on
want
feature or something. I that would be more of a way to convince me to stay with that subscription type of deal. So,
And so
something along those lines would be
while
pretty
we
cool.
talk here, let me show you real quick on the screen what you're watching. This is literally the Greenlight app that I'm talking about that somebody has built, and they're streaming this from their console to the device. So it's out there. It's just not well known, and the install requires you downloading it from some app, from some website rather than the official app store, right? So if they were to be able to add it into, let's say, the Steam store, that would be your ideal scenario. But hit me with some more features, things that you think that are essential for the next iteration. So you want an easy way of being able to access all the stuff. I hear you, and you like possibly a better screen. Will that satiate you for a while?
That probably would. Like,
Okay.
I think the big thing now is that as long as it can, keep up with the current gen consoles, or be able to do a lot of the same things that they can, or play the same games to the same resolution to some extent without the battery being like an hour or two. Try to extend the battery life would be the other big thing, but making sure that they
Without
continue
making
with
it all big and
having
beefy.
to make it so it's also still compatible with most hubs that are out there. Just for those that, like, if this is their first PC in general, this would be the good stepping stone for those that are in that market where it's like, okay, I'm typically a console gamer. If I want to, change into PC, but I don't want to break the bank, this would be a nice step where you can get the monitor, you can get the keyboard and mouse, and use it on a hub, and at least have that as a starting spot, getting into it. But other than that, I think they pretty much hit it out. I won't say hit it out of the park, but they pretty much got all the things that I was looking for.
Yeah,
I got one.
Go ahead,
I got
John.
one. I got one that is crucial in my opinion. And I know that they've done a great job with Proton, but they gotta figure out how to get the heavy hitters like Call of Duty to work without having a need to go into launch windows and all that good stuff. Destiny 2 as well. They need to figure out how to get the big hitters. Halo Infinite, that anti-cheat is a hamper on Proton, so they got to figure that one out.
You know what? To be fair, that anti-cheat's a hamper on Windows. It's a hamper everywhere. It steals resources. It's never been a good tool to be used. You know what I mean? Like the Denuvos of the world and all of them. All they do is get in people's way until eventually people yell at them enough to where they remove it. They need to get that out of the way and realize that those who buy their games will buy their games. And just keep it moving, right?
Like Slow-Mo mentioned, I give Ubisoft credit for making the Division. What is it, the Division 2 and 1? Is it both, Slow-Mo?
I think both of them are back compat now, yeah. Well,
okay, so
deck compat, I should say.
Okay, so I give them credit for that, right? So I think that, Activision They need to kind of speed things up here to allow the deck users to be able to access Call of Duty.
Okay. So all right.
That'd be cool.
And Slow Mo, I don't know if you're around. I know you said you were in the background for a moment. Are you around, good sir?
Oh, no.
No, he may not be for a moment. No, that's fine. So let us move swiftly along. And by the way, as you see, look on the screen there. You're seeing like cloud gaming on this application, right? You can literally like scroll through and hit start streaming, and it'll just start streaming any game you want, like right there. And and it just starts streaming.
Yeah.
Just,
I definitely need to
it's
check
quite
that
cool.
out.
Like
I'll be doing that during lunch.
I hit you up in the DMs. It's quite cool. It's just not known, and they're still iterating on it and stuff. But it is good. Like it recently in 2023 got another substantial update. So it's very cool. I think people, if you're waiting for the day when you can have more of a turnkey experience with your Xbox library, this may be a solution for you. I think you should really check it out. But you know what? Let's talk about and these are just the last few things we'll chat about before we get out of here, because I didn't want to make this too long. We are an hour in right now. We keep it nice and concise. Let's talk about some of the cool features that have come to this device since this thing has launched. And I don't know if you guys have tried using utilities like crypto utilities. I don't know if you've heard of it. Yes. Cryo. I'm sorry, crypto.
Yeah,
Cryo
crypto.
utilities.
You got your money on. You got you're like crypto. I'm like,
yes.
okay.
No. So, Mr. John Wolf, have you tried cryo utilities? Do you know what it's about?
I know what it's about. I looked it up when you send me the link on the DMs. I looked it up, and it's been something that I've been meaning to tweak. Supposedly, it improves performance
yes.
just across the board. So I'm very intrigued about it. But one tool that I have been using has been Decky Loader.
Oh, yes.
And I think that's something that every Steam Deck user should be using.
Speak on it, sir. Speak on it.
100%. Decky Loader basically gives you access to such things as being able to tweak your screen. You know how before one of my complaints was that the screen was a little, it's not as good in my opinion as other devices.
Yep.
Well, guess what? Decky Loader has tools so that you can mess with the brightness of the screen, with the colors.
So just to be clear, Decky Loader is basically a different app store that you enable on the Steam OS side, and basically it does is it gives you access to this, and it's a free store, obviously. Lots of plugins that then enable you to do different things, like manage your screen colors, like change your fan curve, like if you're playing an emulated game or something, and some of those old emulated games don't play well with multiple CPUs and GPUs, you can turn certain things off. It gives you power user controls to various aspects. Continue, sir.
A lot of stuff, like you mentioned, access to retro achievements. If you have a retro achievements accounts for those emulated games, small stuff like that. You can also, if you're one of those individuals that like to completely customize your boot sequence on your Steam Deck, there's access to that. I've seen a couple of funny ones. I've seen some pretty cool stuff on there. So Decky Loader, it allows you, like, for example, to run Spotify in the background, YouTube, so that you can listen to podcasts while you're playing games. Just a bunch of different tools that you can just tweak and customize to your liking. So while you're gaming, so that is
to
definitely
your point about what Decky Loader can do, and about the boot sequences and whatnot. So people who know me and know myself and Everborn Saga and the movies we love to watch and we're all about. So my boot screen is, and I don't know if it'll show on cam, but my boot screen right now that I've been using and I really, really enjoy is has it started yet? No, it has not. It's the Matrix boot screen, and it literally turns the Steam Deck logo into the Matrix, right? And it
there you go. You see,
stuff like that. It's really, really cool.
The boot sequences. You can also the layout. Let's say that you don't like how the Steam OS is laid out. You can change the colors. You can change.
My Steam layout looks like a Switch, with background animations and things, all through Decky Loader. Yes.
And with my background, like I remember, like what I can draw a comparison to that it kind of excites me is that I was a heavy modder when it came into the original Xbox back in the day.
Okay.
So me and my cousin were hands-on always, tweaking that thing and messing around with it, and
Mm-hmm.
it gives me that flavor, that you're in control and you get to customize things as you want.
A man after my own heart, sir. A man after my own. I still have my OG tweaked out Xbox in my office back there
Yep,
somewhere.
still got mine too,
Yes.
man.
With the cool chips on it and whatnot, but we'll just leave that there, bro.
Yeah, that's
Leave
for
that
another
there.
day, and that's
Yes.
for after hours podcast.
That's our after hours podcast. Exactly.
So that's definitely a tool. Decky Loader is a must, in my
mhm.
opinion, for any Steam Deck user.
Yep. Now, what I found though with Decky Loader, what I found is actually super useful. That's what helped me get into more of the deeper waters with the deck. So like you'll be any game you're playing, right? There's a game called Deck Settings. There's a plugin in Decky Loader called Deck Settings, and anytime you load up any game, whether it's a game that is officially supported or it's a game that they officially say nope, it is not supported 100%, right? You go into the software and there's a setting called Deck Settings, and you check it and it sees what game you're playing on your screen and says,
Yep.
oh, these are the recommended settings to get it to work. Oh, if it's not the official Proton one, go download this other Proton. Oh, if it's not running at 60 frames, lock this, lock that. It tells you exactly what to do to get it to run perfectly, because somebody else got it to run perfectly, and then put
Yep.
it on there so the rest of the community can use it. Very cool.
Yep.
It's tweaking, sure, but it's giving you guides on how to get the best
Two-
out of your thing. It's
quick-
really cool.
Two quick plugins that I recommend are go back, scroll up a little bit. You see
Okay.
right there how it tells you the Proton badge.
Yep.
You can put the Proton badge
Yep.
right over, which would basically tell you that even though that Steam themselves,
Yep,
Valve
don't
ha-
support it
haven't
yet.
don't support it, the community there is confirming that the game will work.
Yep.
Okay, and then the other one is Time to Beat. I think that that's a useful tool because,
Yeah.
like, I one of the things
That's
that I
everywhere
like to
now.
know is
That's even on
Yeah.
Xbox now. The time to beat stuff.
And-
It's really cool. Yeah.
and it's a useful tool because sometimes like Watch Dogs, right? When I started playing it, I'm like, I wonder how long this game is. And then when I saw that you can complete the story in 19 hours, I was like, wow, it's achievable. I'm not. It's not like a game I'm gonna have to drown 60 hours into.
Yeah. No, I hear you. Since we're talking plugins, one that I enjoy is they call it the Steam Grid DB updater, and you can
Yes.
literally download it from Decky Loader, and any app, any game you like. Some of the old school games never had the posters
The
and all
cover
that
art.
stuff, the cover art, the way they are now. So it'll always just look kind of legacy and old and crappy on there. You can go in there and choose whatever one you want. You can add customs. It just downloads stuff that other people have made. So
I'm a
downloaded.
sucker for all that stuff.
Yeah, me
man.
too. Me too. I totally am. I bought the whole what do you call it, Prince of Persia collection, and Prince of Persia was never meant to play on the deck like that. So none of those things have any of the really cool animations and the cool setup that the new games do. But you can go through here and get all this really custom stuff that looks like excellent.
One of the things that I really like about it is like
Mm-hmm.
for any collector out there, as you know, as the time has progressed, our physical collections have gone away.
Sure.
But this is a way to kind of bring in, kind of that love and that feel where you're customizing
That digital
your
collection.
collection.
Yes, digital collection. Absolutely. So, Mr. Slow-Mo Backslap, I think you have returned, sir.
Yes, sir. What's up?
Okay, so I know that you and I had spoken a little bit a while back because we love playing Nintendo games, but on the Steam Deck. Let me ask you, how's that going for you these days? Are you still doing that more often? And by the way, a disclaimer, that is very much legal. You just have to know how to do it. They won't like you, but it's not against the law, so stop it. Whoever was writing that in the comments, put your fingers down. But continue, man.
Right. I'm doing a little bit of it. It's more of just testing what games, how they run on the Switch versus how they run on the Steam Deck. Of course, on the Steam Deck, you can look at, you can get your frame rate easily. It's just the option to turn on those statistics in any game, even when you're not playing a game.
Yep.
It's just kind of running in the background as you're navigating through the Steam Deck. With Switch is a little bit different, cumbersome. The method that I'm no digital foundry over here, but I can tell when the game is chugging.
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I can tell when it's not
You
running
can tell when
great.
it's
So
sluggish, you know.
I kind of just do comparisons between
Cool.
games. But otherwise, like I haven't really
Okay.
did it too much.
Okay.
But that's just mostly just because of the number of games that I'm playing
Sure.
and not really being able to dive like when I
And you're
get
a
more
multiplayer gamer
opportunity.
anyway, so most of your games are not on Switch. So there you go.
Right. So it's just like the Nintendo games that I'm interested in aren't Nintendo's games. There
True.
are usually like some kind of second party
Mm-hmm.
game like a Fire Emblem Three Houses
Mm-hmm.
or like a Octopath Traveler. It's
Yeah.
like those kind of games, the ones that I'm interested in. But then like in the example of Octopath Traveler, that's on PC.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
why would I get it on the Switch?
More and more, as John Wolf has said, if you own a PC and or deck, you got everything you need. As all these other platforms are bringing their stuff to PC day one, so even if it's not day one, you know you got so much to play. You'll eventually get to that one, and it'll be on PC when you need it. So I do agree with you on that, 100%. I will say though, to the point of the Switch, I actually found myself. I played Metroid Prime Remastered on it. And I didn't know that it ran well on Steam on Switch on Switch itself at 60, because as soon as I bought it, I just dumped it and put it on the Steam Deck and just started playing it there. I played the whole thing that way, and it's absolutely perfect. Like it's just perfect. And then people go, it runs 60 on Switch too. I'm like, sure, but I wanted to like you can like upscale that thing to like 1440p on the
Yeah,
deck.
but you're looking at it side-eyed, kind of like when Xbox releases a release date. You start looking at it side-eyed, like, are you sure about that? Like, are you sure that it runs?
Is it only in the cutscenes?
Sure, guy. Yeah.
Yeah, sure.
It's
sure.
coming out in September.
So,
Okay.
so with that said, right? Like,
Yeah.
I do have a question for all of you that I just thought of right now. Does anybody think that with the release of the Steam Deck that it made Nintendo kind of rethink anything in their plans here? Do you think that they really looked at the Steam Deck not as a threat, obviously. I mean, Nintendo's up there. They're not. I don't think that they're scared that this device is gonna completely take all the market share away. But do you think that it made them kind of rethink, like, hey, you know what? Let's gauge the audience. Are they hungry for a more powerful handheld? Like, what are we looking at here? What do you guys think?
So
I don't think they
go
care
ahead.
about the Steam Deck at all, honestly.
Okay.
I think that the Steam Deck, I think I saw something that said, hey, it just hit 1 million sold. And I'm like, that's a cool benchmark. But like Nintendo did that last night.
Yeah,
in their
yeah.
tweet. And it's like, I think the only way the Steam Deck or any other handheld ever challenge that's all of them are more powerful than the Switch. Let's just keep it a buck. But the only way they ever challenge them is not going to be with performance or quality of the actual experience. It's going to be with sales. And without anything actually getting close to like looking like a challenger on sales, they don't really care. Like I'm fully in the belief that, remember when there was the whole Switch Pro rumors, and then Nintendo shot it all down, said there's no Switch Pro, this is a Switch OLED, all we doing is changing the screen. Like, people, I'm sorry, but when Bloomberg has the specs to your to your supposed Switch Pro and everyone knows what APU it was supposed to be using, like that was real. But like, they realized they will only be cannibalizing their own sales by releasing that.
Yep.
So
I
they
mean,
just
at this, and I'm sorry, go ahead.
yeah. So it's just really like they're only going to improve their hardware and improve the experience when it's necessary. When they see, like right now, Switch sales, even though they're selling great, they are on the year over year on the decline than where they were
a little bit. Yeah.
So now they're like, okay, now it's time to release the new hardware to get the sales back up.
That makes sense.
They're really only competing with themselves.
Fuzzy, what are your thoughts?
That makes sense.
I'm thinking that a Switch Pro is in the future, just kind of like what Slomo was saying. It's going to be more out of necessity, though. Like with their sales starting to slow just slightly. I think it is time where maybe late 2024 we hear rumblings of it. Like those specs they didn't just throw in the trash can. They're still on the table somewhere. It's just a matter of if they're still partnered with Nvidia and so forth, and how quick they can get tooling up and stuff along those
You know
lines.
what,
I think
though?
we see something within the next 2 years,
So
but probably announced within the next year at that point. So that way they're not. They don't want to wait until it's like, okay, well, we're down or declining 30%
yeah,
on year over year. I think
before they pull
they'll
the
get
trigger.
things going sooner.
Okay. See, on the point of the specs that basically everybody knew, here's my tinfoil hat theory. I think that was leaked by Nvidia themselves. They have been trying to get Nintendo to stop them from making a Tegra 1 for
so true.
years.
Damn you guys!
For
Get off this thing
years.
already.
It's like that company that just refuses to stop making Walkmans, even though we're in MP3 territory. You know what I'm saying? Like they have been trying to the point where they even started charging them more money for the same old decrepit hardware. It's
Everborn
weird.
is rubbing off on you big time, brother, with the conspiracy. No, but I think that you're right. But let's not all kid ourselves. We know what the name's gonna be of the next Switch, the new Nintendo Switch. We all know that that's gonna be the name.
I have
the Switch 2 or something
I have
like
the
that.
new Nintendo DS right here, the new one. It's the
Yeah,
same
exactly.
thing. Yeah, no,
The
I
Super
feel you.
Switch.
The Super Switch, yeah, the Switch. Yeah, look, any small increment would be useful at this point, right? And I agree with you guys. Like, I think when they saw the Steam Deck, they went cute while they were counting all their money to go put in their Scrooge McDuck bank. You know what I'm saying? Like, they don't care one bit. Because at this point, they learned that really smart lesson. I think I said this on another show a couple days ago. The smartest move they made, and ultimately now it's almost to their detriment a little bit. But for the longest time, the smartest move they made was when there was that back and forth between who has the better hardware. They stepped to the side. They just stepped to the side.
They created their own lane.
Yep, that's all they did.
Lane.
Because they know that at the end of the day, you can have as much speed and feeds as you want, but if you don't have Mario and you don't have like all those key mascots and franchises that people love, and you're not able to make a game that requires patches every 2 minutes, like as soon as it releases, you're not getting anywhere. So they just focused on that, and they literally like squeeze blood out of the stone that is the Switch.
Imagine going to one of these game shows or these conventions and you see Doug Bowser playing a Steam Deck and he's playing Metroid on. You're like, hey, well, where's your Switch? He goes, oh man, I need this thing to run at 60, man.
That's like somebody saying, hey man, I love my Android phone, and then at the bottom on the Twitter thing it says sent from Twitter iPhone. No, I don't think you can afford that one. I don't think so. But okay, man. The very last topic that I think I want to bring up before we close this out, because we want to get out of here at a good time, and I'll go through each of you guys and we'll talk about it real quick before we sign off. I will start with you, Slow-Mo Backslap. Do you think there's a world where other platform holders, I'm talking your PlayStations of the world, I'm talking your Xboxes of the world, do you think there's a world right now where they're looking at this device going, okay, it's time we jump back in, or it's time we jump in because this thing is to a point where we see we're leaving money on the table? Do you think that there's any chance that we either see like another Vita, oh I hope so, or Microsoft jump in and do something? Do you see that happening, or is just like this is a flash in the pan? We do what we do, and we're just gonna let the Switch, the Steam Deck be what it is?
I think that they're just gonna let the Steam Deck be what it is. I think at the most what they'll do is they'll try to partner with Valve. They try to make sure that there's some portions of their platform is present in some way on the Steam Deck and what the Steam Deck is cultivating. I don't think that the research and development that comes into play, the support, the actually putting it out there and then having to deal with potential defects and hardware support, software support, firmware up. Like, I don't think that they really, Sony or Microsoft, really want to go down that road. I think Sony's definitely done. Even though the Vita was an amazing device. And
I still have my Vita. I love that thing.
I love the Vita.
I think they sabotaged their own device with some of their policies that they instituted, like trying to lock down memory cards was I think that was stupid, and I think that a lot of people, it turned a lot of people off from even getting one.
True.
But like the device was great, and it had a lot of potential and a lot of good software on it, and it's just like in typical Sony fashion, when they give up on something, they gave up on it. They don't talk about it. They don't really like it, and it goes unsupported. You don't see their first
OLED
parties
screen.
with it.
The first greatest OLED handheld display.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Man,
and
I still remember Uncharted Golden Abyss on that thing on day one.
It's still stuck there. Yeah. It's stuck there. Dude, it's not anywhere else. I played all that game on a flight, like beginning of the flight to the end of the flight. Played the whole game, Golden Abyss, on my Vita.
Yeah, I don't think that they'll go back to that ever. I think they're done with handhelds. I think they feel like we found our lane, and this is where we're going to stay with Xbox. It's very similar to, I think, with their policy with VR. And I know it's been kind of rumored, but I know for a fact, because I know people who worked on the HoloLens team, that their plan with VR was to partner with Meta and become the official exclusive console of Oculus.
Yep,
I heard that as well. The plan was supposed to be.
And that's been
Meta
scrapped.
backed out.
Yep.
Meta got cold feet at the 11th hour, and that didn't happen. So that's why Phil Spencer was out there, with the whole promise, because they were in negotiations, and it was.
Isn't that how it always goes? Same thing with the game that won't die. And you know what I'm talking about. I don't even want to say its name, but
exactly.
There's reasons why, but Phil got to get them arrows, man. He's got to get them arrows.
Stop promising stuff until you're ready to announce it. The moment you promise it is because you're drawing up you're writing the press statement. That's when you promise.
That's when you promise. Yep.
Yeah. So they I think that is the extent that they are willing to go after the Kinect nearly really killed Xbox.
Yeah.
They're not really into doing anything that is some kind of like accessory that's not necessarily really something that's cloud related, which they got down pat, or just the hardware of the console and their presence on PC. Outside that, it's like, you know what, you want an app? Because we'll put an app on that thing, or we'll make sure it works through browser for xCloud. Otherwise, we're good. So I think that like both platforms are hands off on this. Yeah.
Fuzzy Belvedere, what are your thoughts, sir? Do you think we ever see a world where there's some kind of native? I mean, and I guess partnerships won't count because we already have the G Cloud, which is the partnership, and I'm sure there may be some other partnerships that may come about. But I'm talking native handheld. This is our stuff. We built it, for your gaming pleasure. Do you think we ever see that?
I would love to. I would love to see it, but I just don't think either one of the console makers at this point are willing to split off or have that additional SKU.
Yep.
Like Sony would probably, if they haven't really put all their chips over in the VR segment of things, I think if VR wasn't what it is today, I think they would probably consider it portable. But I think they look over at Nintendo and they're like, yeah, we're not doing this again where we try to compete with those guys and they just, beat us day in, day out with numbers of units moved and, trying to make sure that the support is there for, our games and things. I would love for them to partner up with Valve, but I think the ones that are probably closer to partnering would be Xbox in the sense that kind of like the B&O headphones. I'm surprised at this point that there isn't a, made for Xbox or
Steam Deck
officially partnered with Xbox version of the Steam Deck or something available where they already have that Game Pass app, they already have the Xbox app, built in or already as an icon or an app already on the Steam Deck when it ships out to you. I would have thought that would have been probably one of the easiest partnerships. I mean, I know Steam or Valve had said that their hardware platform or their layout is kind of like not really open source, but they're willing to share or license that.
It's a reference.
So I could see that being a thing as far as that type of partnership as well. But Sony just at this point in time seems like they're stubbornly moving slow to the PC space, and anything PC related, it seems like they're not quite fully convinced or something to that effect. But I would love to see a partnership, at least a partnership, but a native app or native device. I think it's a hard sell for their engineers. Like I would love to see them try.
Yeah.
Battery life might be the big question mark as far as that's concerned, but
Yep.
like a portable PS5 or Series S or something like that would be interesting, but also probably extremely expensive and not last as long as a controller lasts on a charge. So I don't know. I think it might be a tough sell to come directly from them, though.
I mean, I think the number one thing we can all agree on is that the Steam Deck has terrible battery life, and they actually try to curve the battery. So that's a problem that's not easily solved. How about you, John Wolf? How about you take us home? What do you think? Do we see one of these things even in the distant future, or are we hoping for a day that will never come?
Yeah, I think that Slow-Mo and Fuzzy both articulated very well, very good answers as to why these companies would and wouldn't. But I think if comparing Microsoft and Sony, I think that Sony has a desire to create a handheld because hardware is in their DNA. They're a hardware company first, and everything else comes second. Even though that their software is renowned, in the gaming world, but they're still primarily a hardware company. So I think that they probably have a desire to do it and an appetite for it. But the Vita and the PSP, I think that those consoles were successful to a certain extent in certain markets in certain regions, but like Slow-Mo said, they gave up on it. That's why it couldn't achieve that upper echelon.
So John, you surprised me. You surprised me because he is Mr. Sega, Mr. Stan, Mr. Double Down. I expected him to go, "Yup, Xbox is gonna build one for the purpose of Japan." Because Japanese people don't want big honking devices; they want handhelds.
Here's the thing, and Phil Spencer, you can tell even with his interaction with the Steam Deck that he's someone that's enjoying the Steam Deck and he can see the value in it. The thing is that I think that Microsoft, the way that you got to look at the way that these companies are designed, right? Microsoft is so heavily invested in this Azure cloud and in cloud gaming that's what they want to push.
Sure,
where Sony would be more open to releasing a device to bring people into their ecosystem. It's two different business models going at it here. It just makes sense where we're at today that the technology is pushing for cloud gaming. That's where we're going. So even though I think that Sony would have an appetite for it, I don't see either company really making a handheld device. I hope I'm wrong. I hope that we have a discussion in a year and, hey, did you see both companies are releasing a handheld? And I hope I'm 100% wrong, but I just think that cloud gaming is where both of these companies see that they need to go. And Sony Sony does not want to admit it to themselves, but they have to. They're like, cloud gaming, we need to go in that way or else we're going to be left behind. So I don't think that they want to be there.
Good points all around, ladies and gentlemen. We really had a good time.
I think the most we'll get out of I think Sony is all in on VR.
Yep.
And VR is their focus right now instead of anything else.
They see that possibly Meta is stumbling the ball a little bit, and they want to kind of pick it up and possibly give you the double to AAA experiences that people are looking for, and maybe they become the household name in VR, huh?
If Sony does one move, they're right there in the cloud game, and that's just partner with Netflix. That's all they need to do, and overnight. They'll be a force in cloud gaming.
Well, that'd be AWS gaming, basically Luna gaming, because that's the same backbone. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
It'd be an interesting time to see. Now, and we're not gonna get on a VR tangent because it's time for us to go. But my world, when they crack the nut on being able to, just like xCloud now, latency and all of that, if you're able to solve the latency problem and be able to deliver quality. Like PC-backed games, but through the cloud to a headset that's very light. That's how you solve the problem. right now, having to have a really big PC rig to support it before you get the real experiences, or having like a phone on your face, both are bad ideas. I like where PlayStation is going. Right, their cable is one cable and all that, but to make it work, cloud supported, stream to your headset. Right, lots of latency there, so we're years from it. But if you're able to get there, I think that's when the slow-mos of the world will take another look at it and go, now it's actually worth something, because it's lightweight on your head and it offers you AAA experiences rather than the dumbed down
Yes,
stuff.
because that's what I'm I look at Call of the Wild. Call of the Mountain, which is like your I think only the second or maybe third big AAA experience. I feel like every VR platform has had a AAA experience.
Yeah.
The Index had, which is playable and everything, but Half-Life Alyx. Meta had Lone Echo 2, and now PSVR2 has Horizon Call of the Mountain. But like, I watched someone play it, and
it's not great.
Yeah, it's
like it looks great, but it doesn't play great. It's there's a game called The Climb. It's on Quest. It's on. All you do is climb. It's an actual workout. How high can you climb? They literally took that idea and they put a Horizon skin on it. Right.
Yeah, and there is some shooting of the arrow in it, and there is some combat aspects to it. But the vast majority of what I saw was a lot of climbing.
Is The Climb? There's a game called The Climb, and that's what it is.
And it's like, that's where I've always felt like when it comes to VR, is that we don't get these full-fledged real AAA experiences that we get with just standard gaming.
So not only that.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, just to jump in real fast.
Go ahead,
not only that, but I think that what VR has going against them is that you're dealing with gaming has always been done on a TV or a screen, a flat screen. So you're dealing with years and years of what people are used to now you're asking people to put on a headset. And I think that right there is a tough sell.
To your exact point, because the existing like gaming landscape is so tried and true, and they've worked out all the kinks and everything else, in order to get somebody into a VR headset and offer a new paradigm, it can't be everything you do already on the normal game. There has to be a reason why you want to get into VR, something you can't do on the normal flat screen. And by and large, when one platform iterates on that and does something special, it makes people go, oh wow, this was not possible until you did it here. That's what happened with Half-Life Alyx and their extreme levels of physics that you have to grab and touch and all this. That's what makes people think it's special there. With Lone Echo, it was the fact that you're in VR, and because of the fact that you're in space, it makes the locomotion a whole different thing. To me, it feels like, and take this from a person who hasn't had face time with it yet, have had face on it yet, but to Slow-Mo's point and all the videos I've watched, it's like they spent a lot of time on the looks, and boy, does it look great. But the gameplay, that thing that makes you...
amazing.
Yeah, it looks amazing. Like, absolutely amazing. The foveated rendering helps. You can get into detail and see some stuff that you would not see before. But I think that they iterated more on the looks than they did the gameplay, because there's nothing you can do in that game that you can't do on a normal flat screen, right? And I feel like that may be a detriment to that franchise and them moving things forward. Every time people have been surprised by VR, even as early as the original Oculus Rift, it was sitting in a cockpit and being a fighter pilot, because that headset really gave you that one-to-one idea of being a fighter pilot, something you couldn't do on a normal screen, right? I haven't seen anything that they're showing right now besides the looks, which also you can do on a normal screen, but nothing from a gameplay perspective that you go, wow, I need to put this thing on my face because it's different than anything I can do with a flat screen, right? But the fact they're trying is commendable enough, right? Because Meta has gone in the wrong direction, in my humble opinion. The phones on your face is not hot. It's not what we're looking for. We're looking for actual hardware that actually pushes the envelope. And it looks like...
Do you think the Quest 3... doing it. Do you think the Quest 3 would be that, or is it?
I'm hoping so. I'm hoping so, because Meta also has a whole bunch of really hardcore, great developers back there that they bought up and ate up, and now we're waiting to see what Ready at Dawn does. Now
Campo Santo.
Exactly. We're waiting to see.
I was waiting on their next game.
Exactly.
That they were working on instead.
And then they got bought.
They got bought and liquidated. And you know what? This is part of the reason why I don't believe the whole narrative about Luminous Studios not getting dissolved. Just because I remember what happened to Campo Santo and Valve. I know that's a different publisher, different developer, but
it's a way they save face.
Was they said, oh, the game that we're still developing isn't going away. We're still going to make that game, but instead that entire team got separated and moved towards Half-Life Alyx, and Campo Santo as a studio does not even really exist
anymore. No, they're gone.
So that game is done, and that game, like they were doing another game that was going to be similar to their first game, Firewatch, which I thought was great. Firewatch is amazing.
Fantastic game, yes. Yeah. I still play it from time to time. Absolutely. To finish up this VR block, and I appreciate that we're going there in the VR block. To finish up this VR block, one thing that gives me hope is PlayStation, right? You think they're incumbents in the game, or they might not have enough skill to do it. Most don't know it, but the reason why Meta is Meta now is because of Insomniac. They are full of AAA VR games that now are stuck on the PC app store of the Meta Quest, right? It's not even on the Quest store, which is the mobile version. They are stuck on the Rift store, but there are really awesome both first-person and third-person AAA budgeted games that Insomniac cranked out, at least 3 or 4 of them, that really, really honed them, that really showed people that, hey, this VR games could actually do something. And now they're owned by PlayStation, right? So, and they happen to also be the same company that's trying to really push.
I think to push the PSVR2, I've been thinking this for a while because Insomniac's been teasing, and I think they've been working on a Resistance VR game.
Oh, that'd be awesome. That'd be awesome. Then you'll see me plunk down some money. Right now, you haven't seen me plunk down money because every game besides The Climb, aka Call of the Mountain, is all available on every other system, and I have. And
if there's any team that can crank out Spider-Man 2, Wolverine, and Resistance VR, it's Insomniac.
Absolutely, they're called Insomniac for a reason. They don't sleep. They do not sleep. You know what I'm saying? So Fuzzy, let's get everybody out of here, but let's let you get the last word. Do you have a PSVR2, or are you planning on getting one?
It's on the plan. Right now, I'm kind of holding out just a little bit longer until Forza Motorsport comes out, because I'm trying to see if I'm gonna stay console or go full on PC. And then the hope would be eventually that GT7 comes to PC as well. But I definitely want to get it. But Sega, and I was a Sega kid as well. Sega taught me one thing. Never buy hardware for just one game. And right now, GT7 is the only game that, of what I've seen, that appeals to me for VR, as far as what the PSVR2 has to offer. And it looks awesome as far as the in-car views and things along those lines. But after buying the 32X and the Sega CD, and then I think it was like a few months later buying the Sega
Tower
Saturn.
Of Power, ladies and
gentlemen. I'm done buying hardware for one game.
Absolutely.
So it's on the list, but I want to see at least one more game, or if I know that I'm going full on PC, at that point I'll cave and pick it up. I really wish they had made the PSVR 2 out of the box ready to be compatible with PC, instead of something that people will have to hack and top, or do like a Hackintosh type of deal for.
Same language.
Sony gets in and I said this in the green room. Sony just gets in their own way. If it was compatible with PC, and if they would have released GT7 on PC, there's no doubt in my mind they would have gotten to that 2 million benchmark.
Yes.
I think it's coming. I think they didn't want to release the PSVR 2 on PC without their own storefront first, and that's also coming. So I think once they get their own launcher on PC, then we'll see that PSVR 2 would be supported, because then they can get 100% of all of the revenue that's generated per sales, instead of having to give some of that.
You have given me hope, sir. You have given me hope. I did not buy a PSVR 2 because I'm going to E3, damn it. That's what I'm doing, and I'm trying to save some money, right? But
I base my thought on that based off of the fact that they encrypted the portions, the portions that where people jailbroke PSVR1
Yep.
and have firmware running on PC, they encrypted those things so that it couldn't be possible.
Yep.
I don't think if you don't care about PC, you don't care about putting it on PC at some point, I don't think you go through that effort.
So to that point there, Slow-Mo, what did they do when the PlayStation 5 came out and everybody hated the white plates? They sent cease and desist orders all over the place. You're not allowed to sell that. And then 5 minutes later, they started selling their own. Yes, sir.
True.
Yes, sir.
That's a
So
good
okay. We're right at the end of it. I think we did about an hour and a half, an hour 45. I think that we'll leave it there. And I'll even cut out the PCVR talk as a little block. So I always appreciate talking tech with you gentlemen. But all right, Mr. John Wolf, it has been an honor and a pleasure to have you on this air, as we always do, sir. I know that from time to time you're on some shows, or maybe you take a little step back and do some relaxing and hang out with the fam. Where can people keep up with your slanderous tweets? Where can people enjoy the conversations with you online? Tell people where they can find you, sir.
Yeah, man. Thanks so much, Kay, for hosting this, and I'm really happy that you did it. It's always good to get together with you and gamers just like Fuzzy and Slow-Mo and just talk games, man, and just chill and it be just a relaxing environment. It's kind of like the only thing missing, honestly, was a drink in my hand here. But yeah, hit me up on Twitter, guys. John Wolf, exactly how it's spelled there. X in front and back of the John Wolf. Steam, Xbox, PC. Hit me up anytime, guys. You'll see me online playing various games throughout various devices. I'm always up to something.
This man is PCMR these days. I see you playing.
I mean, these days, you know. But
He's been indoctrinated.
He has. Successful. Mission accomplished.
I mean, you could play Watch Dogs, you know, with it looking real good, or you can play Watch Dogs at 900p. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So sometimes it really depends, man, on what mood I'm in. But thank you so much for having me on the show. It's always a pleasure. Thank you.
Oh, brother, it's always a pleasure having you on. You know, you family at this point. Anytime you want to come on, anytime you have ideas, we're always open for it, because always great to chat and catch up with you, sir. And how about you, Fuzzy Belvedere? I know you have a full boat of podcasts, and your time is at a premium, and we always appreciate you sharing some of that time with us. Where can folks keep up with your ongoings on the internet?
No, just want to thank you for including me on this, and man, Steam Deck, still an awesome piece of kit. Hopefully, we'll see more and more support as far as for some of the console carryover stuff. Or just I got to.
Brother, I'll hit you in the DMs. Deal. We'll hook it up, man. You're gonna be surprised how good that thing works. Don't worry about it. Let's go.
Awesome. But for those that want to hear my rants or rambles on anything gaming related, particularly racing related and stuff like that, just follow me on Twitter at @fuzzy_Belvedere. You can also find me on Fun Speculations channel, as well as Double Barrel Gaming's channel and PTK Blam's channel for a number of podcasts throughout the week. But it was awesome doing this. Thank you again.
Oh, brother, always a pleasure, sir. I love your takes. You know, you are the racing aficionado. Whenever I need my knowledge solidified, or I need to be schooled, I know who to go to, and just general tech knowledge. You know, I think folks don't equate you with that, but you got a lot of skill in that department as well. So I always appreciate your takes, and of course,
thank you.
Of course, the man who can dish it out as much as Everborn Saga can, which is surprising, because that's a hard bar to clear. Mr. Slow-Mo Backslap, co-host DPS podcast, out here dropping knowledge, dropping science. Always appreciate you joining us, being a part of this community. Sir, tell the fine folks where they can find you and all the things you do online.
Well, you can find me on my YouTube channel, TikTok, Twitter, everything, Slow-Mo Backslap, just as it's spelled here on the screen. I do a podcast with my homie Gaming Forte, duo podcast called Damage Per Second Podcast. That's DPS podcast. We do it every Thursday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We have a great time. I do live streams too. I need to get back into the hang of that. I used to do all the time lunchtime with Slow-Mo, which you may see that coming back very soon, as well as just uploading like real thought piece kind of videos, or videos I get into topics like black hair in video games and doing the research on that, doing reviews. The last review I did was for Elden Ring, so it's been a little while, but it's like when I do a review, I do a very comprehensive, in-depth review. So check out the channel if you like it. Sub to it. But I appreciate being here. Shout out to the Wolf here. Shout out to Fuzzy. You guys are always quality people. I love talking games with y'all, as well as Kay. When I feel good that you didn't have to.
I know where you're going. Go ahead.
You didn't have to make up for your buddy Everborn's crazy takes, his tinfoil hat nonsense.
Yes. You speaking of that, bro. You're gonna see. We're gonna have a segment every time he starts talking tinfoil. I'm gonna put a tinfoil on his head. It's coming.
You gotta have the X-Files. You gotta have the X-Files song in the background.
Yes, X-Files.
We're about to get crazy on this channel. We're gonna do some very interesting things soon. We're gonna lean into the craziness a little bit, but you're gonna see that on the channels.
Awesome. Yes, and you deserve, and you and Everborn deserve all the success, just like everybody else. I really have an admiration for all you content creators, man. I think you all do a great job. So
thank you, appreciate it. It's fun, but some days it's hard to get out of bed. But then I get awesome comments from people about how they just discovered our show and how they're liking it, and it rejuvenates you, it invigorates you, and it gets you back on it. It's real fun, and I'm really enjoying the ride so far. So thanks everybody for the support, and all you guys, the content creators who always choose to come and join us, and we have great conversations like this one. But okay, so we are done for this show. I don't even know when I'm going to slip this into the feed. Pause. But you will get a standard episode from us. As you do every week, but this is something I felt like it was about time we jumped back in and had another conversation about it. This was so fun. It was it was a pleasure having this conversation with you gentlemen. Wouldn't have had it any other way. And Everborn Saga was not on the first one, and of course he slandered out on the second one, as is fair, because his takes would have probably been ridiculous anyway. So all right, ladies and gentlemen.
he would have been the Lulu Chan.
Come on
podcast,
now. She's speaking truth to power. Calm down. Speaking truth to power.
No. I love Lulu. Dude.
But all right, brothers.
She's up there.
We will talk again. We'll maybe at some point when we all have PSVR2s and we've spent some time with it, we might come back and do something similar for that, because I enjoyed this our PCVR PC and slash VR conversation. So maybe we'll do that at the next time. But until next time, we hope you guys enjoyed our special episode of Steam Deck 1 year later. Have a good day gaming. Enjoy yourself. Later.